Today is International Workers' Day, also known as Labor Day, May Day, and it commemorates the historic struggles of the labor movement and celebrates the achievements of workers worldwide. So, congratulations to you. I wanted to talk about this today because empowerment leadership is one of the things that, in my opinion, made this day possible. But it obviously have changed and shifted a lot since the 1800s. So let's talk today about what empowerment leadership is and what can you do today to make sure we continue to empower our teams so more amazing things continue to happen in the world. Welcome to Leading Intentionally, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of leadership transformation. I am Carmen Paredes, your guide in this journey, and I'm so thrilled to have you with us today. In each episode, we share strategies, insights, and stories to help you drive growth, enhance workplace culture, and lead with intentionality. Whether you are a seasoned executive, an aspired leader, or just someone passionate about positivity in the workplace, this podcast is for you. Each week, I'll bring you conversations with thought leaders, experts, and trailblazers that will share with you their insights, wisdom, and experiences so that you can apply these practical tips to your leadership journey. Get ready to explore topics like inclusive leadership, women's empowerment, effective communication, and so much more. If you're ready to lead intentionally and make lasting impact in your organization, you are in the right place. Let's embark in this transformative leadership journey together. This is Leading Intentionally. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Leading Intentionally when we're celebrating the International Workers' Day. All those struggles that workers went through to be able to get approval to have an 8-hour workday and the lives that were sacrificed in the violent events that happened in the Haymarket in Chicago in 1886. And I want to talk about this today because I believe that empowerment was one of the things that made possible what we celebrate today as the International Workers' Day. Empowerment is one of those key elements of the labor movement because it allows employees to take control over their lives and their works. Throughout history, we have seen leaders that have done this for their employees. And in this particular case, in the labor movement, some very key individuals show examples of empowerment leadership. For example, we had Cesar Chavez in California. And then we have Mother Jones, who is known as the most dangerous woman in America. What a title, right? And she was known for fighting for workers' rights, especially for coal miners and child labor. We also have Eugene V. Debs. He was a union leader and founding member of the Industrial Workers of the World. Obviously, the way empowerment looked like back then in 1886 and that period of time and what it looks like is completely different. But the efforts are the same. The purpose of empowerment is to advance workers' rights, to change the landscape of the workplace in an evolved, more caring, compassionate way. We see a shift today when it comes to empowerment towards a more collaborative and inclusive leadership style, where it's not just about giving workers power, but creating an environment where their voices are heard and valued. Empowerment has this profound impact on individuals, communities, and organizations because when workers feel empowered, they are more likely to be engaged. And when people are engaged, they are more productive, satisfied with their work, and therefore they won't leave. It lowers the turnover in the organization. It all starts with empowerment. It's one of the elements of the CARES leadership framework that I teach organizations. And I want you to understand that this is not only beneficial for people, it's also beneficial to the organization because it contributes to a more positive and inclusive work. So you might be thinking, How are some ways that me as a leader can implement an empowerment leadership culture in my organization, in my teams, in my little huddle of two people? Because you don't have to be a vice president to start empowering the people around you. Okay. So there are 8 tips I want to share with you today. The first one is to foster a culture of trust and open communication. When people know that you have their back, when they know that you walk your talk, when they know that they can trust what you say, something magical happens. All of a sudden, your teams feel comfortable to express their ideas, concerns, and feedback, all very important things in a growing culture. Trust encourage an open dialogue and transparency in decision making process. It makes everyone feel part of the decision. And when you feel part of the decision, you feel like you have skin on it. Therefore, you want to make sure the results are the best. The second thing you can do today is to provide opportunities for skill development and advancement. When is the last time you sent your team members to a training? When is the last time you suggested a skill that they might want to develop so they can fulfill their career path? When is the last time you actually encourage your team, your people, to go look for a promotion or get another job? Many leaders will never do this because they live on a mindset of scarcity where they feel they have to control the team. And one of my best employees over the years, we actually worked together several times. He went and came back, went and came back. And there are leaders that I had that I will go back in a heartbeat, but they, like a good parent, allow me to go and learn the things that I needed. And quite frankly, that makes you as an employee more valuable to the organization and gives you that positive feeling of, oh, my leader really cares about me. Therefore, I am going to do everything I can in my power to make them succeed. The third thing, very easy to do, is to recognize and celebrate achievements. When is the last time you mentioned to your teams what a great job they did on a project? Perhaps you appointed someone to do a presentation for the very first time and they were nervous and they didn't know if they were going to do a good job. And even if it wasn't spectacular, but they did a good job. What does it take for you to actually acknowledge that? Did you know that at least 20% of people out there are driven by praise and recognition? And when you deny that to them, you are literally starving them from the very one thing that will motivate them. It's not money, it's not promotions, it's your recognition, what will drive them forward. Sometimes recognition can be done in public, sometimes a simple text, email, or walking into the cubicle, giving them a call. It doesn't have to look the same way every time. And I believe you have the skills to be able to discern which type of recognition you gotta give in each type of case. But we have this mentality that if we praise people, they are going to slack off. When in reality, it's the opposite. When you praise people, they want more of it. You know why? Because it feels good. Because it gives you some of the happy hormones. Some people get dopamine, some people get serotonin, some people get oxytocin. It depends on the chemical composition in the brain, but it definitely gets one of the happy hormones. And once you get those happy hormones, you always want to get them. So praising your teams is not going to make them slack off. The complete opposite is going to make them want to do that more so they can get your praise. Number 4, support work-life balance and well-being. You know, we live in a day and age where working yourself to death is not cool anymore. First, it costs a lot to the healthcare system, but it also really creates profound and deep wounds in people. And the idea that people need to be in front of the computer for more than 8 hours to do a good job is actually wrong. If you think about the amount of time that you could focus on a task, that you can concentrate on a task, you will understand that the more you work, the less productive you are. For every extra minute that you're working after a certain threshold, the marginal return that you're getting for that investment is smaller and smaller. And so recognizing the importance of work-life balance, prioritizing well-being of your team members should be a key initiative of your empowering leadership style. You might consider offering flexible arrangements, mental health resources, coaching, other support services to help your employees maintain that balance. Because sometimes people will work hard, not just because you ask them, but because it makes them feel good. That's a whole different thing that we talk in other episodes when I'm talking about workaholism, because it's an addiction that sometimes you can control. But as a leader, you also are responsible, I believe, to spot that behavior and empower them to take the measurements to overcome it, to recovery. Number 5, it's encouraging participation and feedback. I want you to get in the habit of involving your team members in decisions, in things that are going to affect them. And I want you to encourage them to contribute with their ideas and perspectives. If you're in a meeting and people are quiet, it's usually for one of these things. They don't trust you. They believe they're going to be shut down. They are scared because they have never done it before. You're not empowering them. And they know that feedback is not welcome. None of those reasons are good. It's never because they don't have anything to say. They always have something to say. They always can see things that you can't because you are not in the day-to-day of the product, of the process, of the communication. They are. And you're sitting over here thinking that you know it all and not giving them the chance to share with you what they think. Diversity of opinion is about the most powerful thing your company and your team can have to make huge progress. Number 6, lead by example. Demonstrate empowerment by modeling the behavior you want in others. Empowerment looks like being open to feedback, welcoming feedback, admitting your mistake, showing empathy and understanding towards your peers, your leaders, your team members. Number 7, and this is key for empowerment, and it's to provide autonomy and ownership. Empowerment means that they are trusted to make decisions, to run with the ball, to take initiative, and not be petrified and scared of what could happen if something goes wrong. What could happen if I make a mistake? So, what if you start getting in the habit of giving your teams the freedom to make decisions and take ownership of their work? I want you to empower them to set their own goals and solve problems, to use their brain and think a little bit and make choices that impact the destiny of the company. Obviously, you're not going to give a very complicated decision to a very junior member of your team. You have to use a little bit of discernment to know what kind of freedom you're going to give them. But you need to start doing that, just like you will do with your kids. Number 8 is to create a diverse and inclusive environment. See, DEI is so much more than checking a box. It does so much more to your organization and your team than being compliant with a government program that perhaps gives you tax credits. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, gives your team the impression, the sense, the feeling that they are welcome. Their ideas are welcome. Their differences are welcome. Their values are welcome. And when they feel welcome, now they feel like they belong. And when they belong, they will be able to share their perspectives, their ideas, and their effort. So together with them, you can get towards common goal because you also involve them in the decision process and in the planning. These are simple strategies that can take a long time. But when you do, leaders can create a work environment that empowers employees, foster creativity and innovation, and ultimately leads to a greater job satisfaction and performance. All the things you want. And as we wrap up today on International Workers' Day, I encourage you to reflect on your own leadership practices. How can you empower yourself and others in your team to create positive change in the workplace? I invite you to come up with 3 things that you can start doing this week. I'll see you next week on another episode of Leading Intentionally. And until then, don't forget to lead with intention.